Well, this is something that was not even like really like a huge focal point, but then a lot of people either were belly aching about it or Notre Dame fans were super juiced up about it. Because of this change to straight seeding, it now opens the door for Notre Dame to receive a bye if they are one of the top 4 teams in the country. They couldn't create, it'd be ridiculous if they created some insane rule that said only Notre Dame can't be a top 4 seed. It had to have been even for everybody because we need to create the theoretical situation where, say, the 3 best teams are 3 Big Ten teams. One of those teams doesn't play in the Big Ten championship game. We should still send that team as one of the teams with the bye. So Notre Dame, for the short period of time until we expand to 16, are extremely happy with this outcome because they didn't have to do shit in order to get this.
Notre Dame is going to take a lot of heat for this. And I got to be honest with you. Of course, Blake's going to say this. I don't know if they shouldn't. I don't know if they shouldn't because go ahead.
No. Finish what you're saying.
Joe, you're playing a less game than everybody, majority of the time. There's a very, very rare occurrence. Name the year, please, that 3 teams have done that. I mean, name them.
It's fair, but you can't spend the last 30 minutes arguing with me that the lack of importance for a conference championship, and just because Notre Dame doesn't play in one, they play one less game, that gets held against them.
Well, if we're talking about equality and everything's about equality, then they're getting the better end of the stick of the equality.
They are.
I mean, okay. So how do I tell every team that is actually in a conference that we're going to allow a team because of their brand, they don't play in a conference championship game, they can be rewarded the same exact opportunities that you are when you're having to play an extra game? Because the top 4 seeds show, let's just be real. Maybe you do have a rare occurrence. Maybe. And I'm not saying that you're wrong, that there could be an occurrence that happened. That there's 3 Big Ten teams that are at the top. They all split. One doesn't go to a conference championship game. You're right. That could happen. My question in that is, but there are 2 of them that still had to go and play it. There are still 2. So regardless if you want to reward whatever, they're still in that conference. And you just said that if you play in a conference, you win the conference, then you should be rewarded for it. Notre Dame's literally not playing in a game. They're not. Joe, they didn't play in a conference championship game and played in one more game at the end of the year than Texas, and they still play the same amount of games. That shouldn't you see what I'm saying? So if I'm Texas, as an example, I should be saying, well, hold up, wait a minute. Let me get this right. I got to go play, of all teams, Georgia's head ass? No, Blake, Notre Dame beat Georgia. Okay.
They did.
Well, they did. They also had another week to go and rest, too.
Well, Georgia had another week to rest, and then –
Sure. I mean, we're not going to get in the whole argument of quarterback being hurt scenario, but at the same token, we got to admit that there is a massive flaw with Notre Dame on that specific point. Now, here's the truth. The truth is if Notre Dame is that good, let's say they don't lose to Northern Illinois. You're right. They should be a top 4 seed. If they are that good, and they have shown through 12 games that they're that good. But if everything is created equally and you got 5, 11-1 teams going into that final weekend and 4 of them have got to play, Joe, I'm sorry. You're going to have to get the shorter end of the stick there.
I think that naturally, and this is why I think that there should be a lot less of an uproar over this. I think that for Notre Dame to earn a top 4 seed, they need to be like clearly one of the 4 best teams in the country. That was what my argument was originally when they were kept out of the positioning to receive a bye. I thought that they should have been in the conversation, that if they were that good, they were 12-0, they had multiple top-ranked wins, which they are aggressive in their scheduling, and more so in the near future. They're expected to play the likes of Ohio State, Alabama. I believe they're also playing Texas. They're being very aggressive. If they have wins in those circumstances in the next, for however long this is until we expand to the 16-team playoff, they earn the right to be a top 4 team and to have a top 4 seed.
Completely fine with it. But there's a lot of scenarios like we just saw play out. Are you going to penalize Texas for going in overtime with Georgia and them having another loss outside of Notre Dame and you awarding Notre Dame that spot?
I think that the committee based on how much they've shown that they value conference championships, I don't think that they would just casually slot Notre Dame ahead of them. I don't.
I don't
unless
think they will either.
Texas would have to be 9-3 in that circumstance, or something along those lines, or
Fair.
10-3 with a loss in the SEC championship game in order for that to be created.
Fair. But again, do you penalize them for having 3 losses because they played an extra game and you didn't?
Yeah. Wait.
Again, there's justification that's going to come here from everybody. And listen, there's one thing that I do love about Notre Dame. Can I tell you what it is?
What?
They said every single time that this has come up. Sounds good.
Well, right. They never really put it. Yeah, they didn't put up a fight.
No.
They kind of just said that's cool with us. I would assume
that takes some balls. Hold on. Pause.
I understand they didn't have a leg to stand on. They didn't have a leg to stand on.
And they don't now. But good on them for not backing down. If there's one thing you look, you can hate Notre Dame, you can hate the tradition, you can hate their guts. It doesn't matter. They didn't back down. They didn't. Hey, we're not giving you a first round bye. You know what? Middle fingers to the sky. We don't give a shit. We'll go play wherever. You're going to give us a bye. Sounds good. We'll go play wherever. Good on them. That takes balls, bro.
Well, and I think that's why, as this is being presented and put together, why a lot of people haven't been upset by it. Because, again, I think Notre Dame understood where they stood. They're happy with the outcome that comes with it. And I think that this is a positive layer. I would assume this is something we didn't even talk about. We haven't really talked about with the expanded playoff. I would assume that the 16-team playoff is expected to be straight seeding, even though there's no buys in that circumstance. There's still a ton of value of being the 3 seed and getting to face one of the worst teams in the field. As we've talked about, that second Big 12 team is probably going to be one of the most beatable. That G5 team is going to be one of the most beatable. Getting the chance to play one of those is going to be super valuable. And to reiterate further, Notre Dame having that positioning, I think, is truly fair if they have a season where they go 11-1 and the remaining top 4 teams are in that same conversation mix and they have the premier wins to prove that they were a top 4 team. I don't think anyone last year would have argued that Notre Dame was a top 4 team. I don't think anyone would have tried to have argued it.
I think
with the NIU loss.
Well, correct. I mean, because would you kick out Penn State for Notre Dame would be my question.
No, and there was a bit of a debate for that, but no, Notre Dame didn't have the argument that could have been made for.
Correct. I mean, okay, good. I mean, correct. All I would say is good on Notre Dame, but here's the truth. Reality. It ain't no truth. It's just the reality of it. There's going to be consequences when you're not in the conference because you don't have multiple parties to fight with you. I mean, hold on.
Well, they don't have a whole lot of this is a very honest Notre Dame fan. I mean, we get a lot of benefits from not being in a conference. We
That's my
make
point.
A shitload of money. We get our own TV deal.
This is your consequence for not being in one. If you're fighting at the end of the year and somebody gets hit, it's your consequence. I mean, I hate to say it like that, but it's just the truth. I think
that what makes this fair,
hold on.
though.
Let me ask you a question as a Notre Dame fan, Notre Dame lifer. Would you rather not be in a conference and just go ahead with this consequence? Or would you rather be in a conference and then, what's the trade-off?
I still would never want to be in a conference. And I also didn't even know this. I was reading it. People were tweeting about this week with the whole USC conversation. Apparently, Michigan's the leading reason why Notre Dame's not in the Big Ten because they blocked multiple times in the past that they prevented Notre Dame from being a part of the mix. I don't know. I think this is a very long time ago.
Now, when's the last time that y'all play Michigan? Because that's a rivalry, correct?
Or early 2010s, probably.